Kicking off 2013 here. Wow. I am way off on that one. First movie of 2023, here we go, and we're already pegging for that R rating. So Megan is a new horror movie that's come out. First film of the year, I'm hyped. Opposed to the Child's Play reboot that came out starring Mark Hamill, this is actually a different kind of franchise, a different world, a whole different disconnected thing. A new concept on the doll coming alive and getting a slasher out of it, and that's pretty exciting. But we have Megan here, which is a little bit of a different thing. What I like about this movie in particular, first off, positive first, of course, is that Megan's really good at developing its characters and giving you something to latch onto early, and that is the little girl. Her story in this movie is very captivating, and I really enjoyed what her arc ultimately is about. Megan, first off, what I really like about it is that the main characters are really good. I think the main lead is really strong. What I like about her and her journey here, without giving too much away, this is all in the trailer, but the movie begins with our main character, and she works at a tech company, and she's trying to create AI and create this new invention called Megan. And then on top of that, she has a niece who is now going through a form of grief, and now she wants to help her niece get through that. Allison Williams as Gemma is really good in this movie, and she does a good job at selling the performance of someone who has not had kids and is someone who is kind of completely new to this scenario, and I think she does a great job at playing a fish out of water character with taking care of this little girl. There's a lot of fun elements of comedy that come into that as well that add to the levity of this movie, which really created a nice balancing act of the horror and the family comedy aspect of it. Well, family comedy is not really the word for it. I guess a better example of it would be just kind of bleak comedy in the scenario that both characters are in. And I really liked that the movie was able to make me laugh in those elements. Something else I really enjoyed about Megan is that the horror scenes are really fun when they do go down. That being said, sometimes it lacks a little bit, and we'll get into that, but positives first. Again, what I do like about this movie is I enjoyed the story of what the main characters are going through more than the actual horror elements. And I do think this movie has an interesting premise on tackling the idea of a doll coming to life. And I like that they centered it around a good positive intention from the main character. That way it kind of becomes an element of, oh, you created this monster and now you have to deal with it. I thought that was a really cool way to tell this story, to differentiate it from something like Chucky or The Boy. And it kind of stands out on its own in that way. And on top of that, what's really cool about it is it has a different tone and style that really elevates it. I think there's a lot of self-awareness in this movie that makes it work. One of my favorite things about it is that it's able to do a nice balancing act of being wacky and insane. So you kind of see how you could laugh at this movie, but the movie knows that, and it's self-aware in that, but it doesn't lose sight of having an emotional center and focusing on the main two characters and really putting their development in the forefront. So you have something to latch onto from start to finish where you're never really taken out of the movie. The wackiness of the film and the crazy zaniness of the horror when it goes down is fun to watch and sometimes creepy, but it never is so insane and wacky to the point of just completely taking you out of the movie. The movie could have easily run the risk of doing that, and I'm glad that it didn't. Another thing I really liked about this movie is the little girl. Violet McGraw is fantastic. She does a great job in this film, and sometimes little kids, they can struggle in movies, and I'm never going to be the one to just be like, oh, this kid sucks in a movie, but she was really good. I really enjoyed her, and her performance I thought was really believable. And they do a good job at tackling different emotional levels of what a kid would be like. I appreciate that this movie wasn't just her crying, being sad all the time. Because some movies can get into that one-note scenario of a little girl grieving something or a kid grieving something. All they are is sad, but I like this movie tackles it in different ways. There's different levels for emotion that the movie explores, and I thought it did it in a really passionate way that actually added a lot of heart to the movie. And I keep harping on that and coming back to that because I think that's just what I like the most about it, because truthfully, a lot of the other horror elements in this movie that could have really stood out don't as much. And I do think that's because of the PG-13 rating. It does kind of hold the movie back. I could see this movie being rated R, and I feel like it was rated R at a point, and it was edited down and chopped down because there are just moments that you feel like could have gone a little further, could have gotten a little crazier in a good way. And the movie kind of dials back a little bit and holds it back, and I feel like, man, you spent a lot of the first two acts building to moments that were to come in conflicts that you now have to, I feel like, are dumbed down because of your rating, because you want to appeal to more general audiences. I don't know if that was the intent of this movie. I'm not going to pretend I know. I didn't work on it, but I do it does come across that way at times. Another thing I didn't really love about this film is that it leaves a lot of questions that I really thought could easily have been answered, or at least you could have just expanded on it a little bit. It kind of feels like there are things Gemma, the main character in this movie, are responsible for, because she does create the doll Megan, and I'm just like, how are you not facing any legal trouble because of this, or anything like that? And questions like that arise at times in the movie, but the movie then never really explores them. It kind of just, oh, everything happens, and then the movie wraps up and ends, and, you know, quick, easy horror movie, you're in and out. But I could have used a little more expansion, a little more answers on the questions I had on, oh, is Gemma in trouble for, you know, creating a doll that is now going haywire and hurting people, to keep it vague. Yeah, I just was wondering, I was like, you're kind of responsible for a lot of this. And I thought the movie missed a chance on exploring the main character Gemma's guilt in creating Megan. I never really feel like there's scenes where she feels guilty for what she's created. And I didn't really buy that. That's what kind of took me out of the movie. And it did bring it down a few pegs for me. The movie wraps up just so quick after the problem's done that it just feels kind of messy, a little bit all over the place. You don't really feel you get all the answers you would want to be satisfied by the end. Both Amy Donald and Jenna Davis do fantastic at playing Megan, and she is legitimately creepy at times. And I think the movie really excels when Megan is just on the watch, observing you, trying to protect you, keeping you safe. That's when the movie's at its most ultimate creep factor, and that's when I was really into it. And I think both those actresses do a great job at selling you on making Megan terrifying. All the children in this movie that acted in it were so good. I saw in the trailer those moments where she's dancing and just going crazy. It's a lot of fun. I think she does great. The concept and the idea of Megan is legitimately scary and feels a little more unkillable than something like a Chucky or the Brian's the Boy, for example. I keep going to those examples. For some reason, those are just the top two that pop into my head of recent memory. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Why am I explaining myself? All in all, I really enjoyed this movie. My biggest flaws with it are in the third act. I thought it could have gone a little crazier with its concepts. All in all, I had a good time with this movie. And I do want to see a sequel. I want to see this movie expand, and I want it to go a little crazier. Don't be afraid of the R rating. Go for it. Just do it. Terrifier 2 made so much money last year. Just go for it. Throw us. Go ham. Go crazy. Go wild. I'm not saying you need to be rated R to be good horror, but when I see the potential for your R rating to take you to crazier stuff and really let you commit to being something a little more terrifying, I say why not go for it? Embrace it. But overall, I really enjoyed Megan. I'm harping on it too much. Go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching so far. Please like and subscribe if you like. Scatterbrained review for you for Megan. Go check it out. This one's a little fast. Didn't have too much to say, but thank you so much. See you next time.